excited for the last 2 weeks knowing it was coming. And I had to think back when I first met you, Sonia, and you won't remember this because there's always thousands of people in the crowd, but this is going to be an interesting admission to everybody who watches these. In 1995, I had come out. I had come out because I had a death threat in college. I came out to my family in 93. And by 95, my family had gotten to be a little bit more comfortable with it. And I'm from Vegas. And my mom said, why don't we go to, I think they have this gay pride thing. And so she and I went. And it was my first exposure to a gay pride festival, and certainly hers. And I am so grateful she asked to do that for a couple of reasons. One, showed me how courageous she is. Although as soon as we walked behind the gates, she said, hold my hand. I don't want anybody to think I'm available. Which, by the way, took me years of therapy to get past. That is not and yet we got to see you perform there. And she and I both just sat and we were in tears. And I was shaking so much. And she said, you need to go meet her. And I said, oh, I'm sure. And I did. She kind of pushed me forward to at least go introduce myself. And from 95 to end of 97, I think, I basically stalked you. You probably didn't know that, but I showed up at every festival you were at. I just couldn't get enough. And the music, your music and your wisdom really helped me through some dark times. So thank you. And thank you for saying yes.
Thank you.
And the last time I actually got to see you physically in person was 15 years ago, because you came out here to perform for my 30th birthday. So
yes, I remember that. I remember it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Wow. 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 Wow.
so start with
I remember. I remember Vegas. That pride. That was kind of interesting.
it was very interesting. Very interesting. Um, all right, so that's kind of my Sonia story, but there's going to be a lot of people on here who have never heard of Sonia or Disappear Fear. So since you just wrote your autobiography, maybe you can give us a really short version of it.
Chapter 1. Yeah, yeah. So I'm in Baltimore. I was born in Baltimore. Sit back, and I'll tell you my story. Um, no, Las Vegas Pride was a lot of fun. I'm a singer-songwriter. It was important to me to, has always been important to me to be able to be true to myself in my music. Before I started Disappear Fear, I was in a couple of bands and stuff, and I felt like I was writing formula songs. And my love is always and goal has always been to write a great song. And so when Cindy came to Baltimore because it was our dream to come and to
Cindy's her sister,
perform together.
everybody.
Yeah, my sister. I don't know if she's on yet. Yeah, she's up in Seattle, so she may still be asleep. Um, but maybe she'll be watching it later. But anyway, so we just decided this is what we're gonna do. And I also noticed that lesbians that were doing music were very much doing just women's music, and I didn't want that to be. I wanted to sing for everybody. I wanted everybody to be able to play and enjoy and write songs that everybody could love. And so that was the start. You know, that was the idea behind Disappear Fear. I was working at the
When did
time,
you
and
two form Disappear Fear?
yes, we formed it, and it was the date. What happened was Exhibit A, the band I was in, pretty much imploded once Cindy joined the band because we were so crazy dedicated to doing this, and everybody else was much more logical and sensible. And so they kind of broke away, and what was left was me and Cindy and my guitar, and so that became it. And it's the birthday of John Lennon, actually. It was in 1987. It was 10/9/87 was the day we formed Disappear Fear.
Awesome.
Yeah. and yeah, and so I've been making music. I have about 20 albums, and CDs, and you can. The new one, "Love Out Loud," is a compilation CD of, compilation CD and album and collection of pieces of or songs from different albums through my career. So,
So, and I should have put this in the email, but I didn't remember until this weekend. There, I followed you to San Francisco Pride, and you were staying in Oakland at the time, and we walked one morning, um, and it's the one time I've been able to see an artist go through their process. You were writing in your head as we were walking. Is that typically kind of how it happens? Do you just get inspired and you kind of ruminate on it until it's all fully formed?
no, it's in pieces. It really just depends on the song. Sometimes I sit down and the song is, really all there. But and sometimes it's in pieces. But I guess you could. I'm never not writing. I
Is that how you process the world, Sonia?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm grateful for that because then it gives us the opportunity to go through that process and process a lot of the craziness in the world.
Yeah, it's important to be engaged in the moment of what you're doing, and you necessarily don't have a phone that you can write on, or a pen somewhere, but there's sort of just these indelible thoughts that stay. And I go, well, that's good. I can, that's very good. So sometimes it's just an inspiring moment, or sometimes it's something I hear that I process.
Okay.
Either way.
No.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't know that I would go here, but I'm already tearing up. So this February, I lost my grandma. And I
Mm.
think my relationship with my grandma was very much like yours with your dad. And Don't Let Go uh, got me through that a lot.
Mm.
So thank you again for that. And everybody who's listening, you should. What CD is that on?
That is on. It's actually you can. It's actually called "Won't Let Go," but everybody calls it "Don't Let Go." So I definitely misnamed it. Um,
It's your song.
um,
We
I sh- I should get in and rename it on my BMI thing. It might be, that might be a sub name on it. I don't remember. It's on the album "No Bomb Is Smart." That's the original recording of it. But I think there might be a live version of it as well. But the No Bomb Is Smart version is really, really nice.
yes, it is.
And that's, yeah. But if you just go Sonia Disappear Fear, it's actually under Sonia. Um, if you're on the other, sites. My official name is Sonia Disappear Fear. We were, of course, Disappear Fear at the beginning, and then I became Sonia of Disappear Fear because my record label wanted to keep the name Disappear Fierce in my public name, since no one knew who Sonia was. And then uh, I just became Sonia. And then, because I wanted to sort of keep the name Disappear Fierce sacred for just when I was with a band, or when I was with Cindy. And then we just decided just put the whole thing together, because if you would Google or try, do a search for Sonia, you wouldn't find any of Disappear Fear's music, which is me. And then if you would do a Disappear Fear search, you may or may not find Sonia, which is what like certain albums are under. And anyway, Terry calls me a marketing disaster at times, because
Well, I was just going to
I
say
shoot myself in the foot.
a lot of my audience, and you probably don't know this, but I own a real estate company, and a lot of this audience is realtors, and you just gave us a business education on marketing.
You
Keep your
got to be
brand.
consistent. You can't change one little thing. One of my albums, Tango, which is an album that's in
Love it.
Hebrew, Arabic, Spanish, and English. I don't know if you know about that one. It's really pretty cool.
I
And
love
every
it.
single song is translated in a beautiful watercolor booklet that I designed the paintings for it, but Laura Cerulli did the graphics for the booklet. Painstakingly, we worked with different people to make sure that it was as correct as it could be. There's a couple errors in it, but it's pretty close in all those languages. And figuring out why people think the way they do by using their language and trying to say what's in my heart. Interesting challenge. Anyway, that is Sonia ampersand disappear fear because we thought the ampersand looked cool, and that's just a whole other disaster. So yeah, you got to stay the same, and you know the small, the case sensitive, everything.
So
But I'm
disappear.
there. I'm there, and they're getting it together. Sorry.
So 10-9-87 and disappear fear forms. How did you come up with that name? Because it's so incredibly appropriate.
I worked for the Baltimore Center for Victims of Sexual Assault, and right after college, and they were looking for a new name. And this woman from Seattle came and did a educational seminar with our work staff, and she was really good. Her approach was just a whole lot more open, and she dealt with the idea of fear a lot, and we were looking shortly after that. The board was looking for a new name for the center. We were the Baltimore Center for Victims of Sexual Assault, which is long when you answer the phone. And so I came up with the Disappear Fear Center, since what happens when you're assaulted is you lose yourself, you lose all sense of being able to make a decision, and you just, you know, alienate and just go inside. So I thought if you could disappear fear, then you could come out of yourself and be in the moment of your life and connect with people. And they didn't accept that name. I had written it on a little yellow post-it and, you know, had it in my desk. Um, but they went with Baltimore. They went with Baltimore. No, they went with Sexual Assault Recovery Center. So there was an acronym. SARC is what they became. But I had had this name, and it was right around the time that Cindy and I were forming the band, and it was just, you know, a good thing to do. We just did that. We just said, okay, that's the name of us. We're Disappear Fear. People were like, what? Your diaper fear? No, 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 no. Disappear fear.
Well, in my spiritual practice, I truly believe there's just two emotions, love and fear. And so, and I've come to that way since I was introduced to disappear fear. But for me, that's why it makes so much sense, because if we can disappear fear, all that's left is love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so applicable to anything. And in fact, a good question, you know, I know there's like the people that wear their wrists things, what would Jesus do? But another good question is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Like, because it'd probably be pretty amazing if you can ask yourself that and then, you know, do do that.
Move towards that.
Yeah.
So in this time that is just, I mean, I in my good moments say we're living in times where we're going to be in the history books, right? It's such an odd year, and so much is being exposed. How have you been experiencing it?
Um, well, at first it was just pretty horrifying. I mean, I think part of it is the wave of the information about the virus itself. So it's like you can be, you can't be, you need this, you better like to, you know, all the different levels of quarantining and
Well, and you live in
this
a
and that.
world where your entire everything you do is exposed to thousands of people.
Yeah, exactly. So, having my Germany, what happened was, for me, was that there was personal tumult too, um, because my mom passed away at the end of on December 30th of last year, and I was in the middle of a tour of Australia, knowing that even when I was leaving, that she was probably near the end, and it was that was a huge decision, but um, to go and then to come back and do the arrangements, you know, for the funeral and everything. And then we went back to Australia, and I did a bit of I did the this festival that I had obligated to, and then the last concert at that festival, I really that was the end of it. It was funny. It wasn't funny. It was sort of perfect. The power went out. We were in a big rainstorm, and this is, you know, during the horrible, horrible, devastating fires that Australia went through, which can't be comparable to any other fires in modern times. How horribly the fires have decimated so much property and so yeah, just anyway, so that and driving through that and being in that and my mom and then coming back, COVID actually was starting. We saw reports even the first week in January back in Australia about this infectious virus from China, from Wuhan, very early January when we were in Australia. I don't know how many of those stories came to the United States, but already they were wearing masks in places, the servers, especially Asian people. Um, and so then we were back and then we were in Hawaii for a couple of weeks, and then we came back to the United States, and that's when everything, got locked down here. Um, so, so it, yeah, so then my tour got completely canceled for the spring, and they've actually rescheduled it for the fall, thinking that it's all going to be better by then. It's clearly not. So now it looks like my fall schedule is kaput, and yeah, it's and all we made, financial decisions, both business and personally, based on the fact that I was gonna, this is life. This is what my income is. This is
Yeah.
about what it's gonna be. And now it's scary. It's
The one saving grace in that for me is that we're all at the same spot.
yeah,
No matter what you had planned, you could not have planned for this. And we're
yeah,
all being maybe not equally impacted, but certainly impacted in big ways.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, my industry, like, I think people are still buying and selling. In fact, I saw that houses, because
oh, it's crazy.
Baltimore's gone up. I mean,
Yeah.
recently, like, significantly. I think, like, one month it was down, but now it's like, so we were like, I'm not living here anymore, or I'm not living with you anymore.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, so
Quarantine
it
exposes a lot.
might be good for your business.
Yeah. And it will be again in the short term. We don't
Yeah.
know long term.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the we had 2 months where it was just scary, and
Yeah.
yet we've come out of that pretty well. But we don't know what's going to happen with everything else that's going to, the election and everything else that's coming. So
Right.
yeah.
It,
So
is there, I was just wondering, just for personally, is there an incentive or a request more, since, like, one thing that was very obvious during the 3 months of um, was that nature came back so much. There, like, even now there's more birds and more deer and more
it's
bunnies that I
wonderful.
see hopping around just in my drives, into suburbia of Baltimore. More green, more lusciousness,
Yeah.
and it's so nice, and you can breathe better and see further, and all of those things. Have there been requests for? Do you think that will translate into more environmental smartness in the housing business?
I don't know about that. I know we are already feeling people who want to move out of the city and get someplace where there's more space
Hmm.
because, being quarantined in a 600 square foot condo, a lot of people aren't thrilled with.
Right.
Um, I hope that we recognize and we don't forget. There's so many things we're getting to learn in this time that I'm afraid we'll forget as soon as we go back to whatever normal is. But yeah, the water's cleaner. We have more dolphins. We have more whales. Everything is better from a nature standpoint. And I hope there's enough people who can get behind that, to say let's clean things up a little bit.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. Not
You know
hearing
what?
the conversations yet, but it's certainly everything's greener. Everything's more. Every color is more vibrant.
Yes. It's interesting too. I haven't really heard this officially, like, from uh, the official rabbis, but from what I understand, this every 7 years in Judaism, you let the fields go dormant.
Mhm.
So, like, if you're planting corn, you would plant no corn that year. You let it rejuvenate itself. I guess I don't know if it's a commandment or a law or what. And this is the year for that to happen. So, like, maybe that wasn't particularly by choice and stuff, but for it to be, not that it is because people did plant and everything, but for things to
Oh, I have a deep spiritual
rejuvenate.
belief that the universe has shown up and said, everybody
Yeah,
needs a
yeah,
pause.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next year, every 50 years, there's a complete uh, release of debt so that like all slaves and all money that's owed is released at that year on the 50th year of it. And
When is
then
that coming?
it's next year, just in case there's a big economic shift. You can, uh, yeah, and I don't know. So I don't know if that's like proportionate to when loans happen, or that's just this is when that is. Because I think it's a this is when that is.
Right.
You know,
Awesome.
yeah. But again, I haven't talked to any really erudite rabbis lately about this particular thing. So this is the Sonia interpretation, and I could be off. Just a qualifier.
Well,
Ooh,
you said you've got your guitar there.
I do.
Tell us a little bit because I've gotten an education about guitars through you too. Tell
Wow.
us about the kind of guitar you play.
So I play the Sonia Santa Cruz
Yeah.
guitar with fish on it that I put on it. I don't suggest that because anything you stick to your guitar or paint on a guitar dulls the sound because the real sweet sound, the real like the trebles and things like this mostly come from the top uh, spruce of the guitar. And this guitar was made by the Santa Cruz Guitar Company, many of which I could tell you their names. But the person who created it is one of my most favorite people on the planet. His name is Richard Hoover. And he just wanted to make guitars that were like on the level of Stradivarius. In fact, that's what he studied. Excuse me. Um, in order to do it because at the time there wasn't an internet. So his mom was a librarian, and he would just go to the library and study the making of violins. And he applied those amazing rules to to study wood and how wood ages and how wood fits together. The crystalline process of wood and the molecular structure of it, and he makes amazing guitars. And he makes what it's a boutique. Called a boutique guitar manufacturer because they're not made by machines. They're made by people. Some of the work is some of the um, really fine details are helped by machines because that way it doesn't destroy the people's hands that are doing it over the years, and they can
Sure.
use them for longer years. But yeah, they're amazing, and they're based in Santa Cruz. And so I played a guitar. I played one of these kind of guitars in a store called Appalachian Bluegrass in Baltimore, and I loved it. And my management got in touch with them, and Richard said, "Well, when you're in Santa Cruz, we'll give you a tour of the place, and we'll figure out what kind of guitar you need." And he basically kept handing me guitars to play. So, what's unique about it is it's a little bit thinner here, it's a little bit thicker here, so it has a really nice sort of mid-range, sort of bottom mid-range boom, which really works with my voice. And I'll play different guitars. Different guitars move you in different directions, just like a honky tonk piano as opposed to like a grand piano, because of the sustain and the attack and the feel and what sounds better with what. I heard that. That's okay. Welcome. Terry's in the room.
Hey, Terry.
So anyway, I don't know. That's probably maybe more than you ever wanted to know about guitars, but I love this guitar. It's really inspiring to me, and you can now buy a Sonia Santa Cruz guitar. They make them. It's very similar to the H model that Robert Johnson played that was made by Guild. But if you ask Richard or you ask me, not made by Guild, made by Gibson, that Richard makes a better Gibson than Gibson.
And so you are a
True.
musician. What else do you play?
I play piano and I write on piano. My musical is mostly Small House No Secrets is mostly on piano. I wrote it on piano, and there are just certain songs that go that way. I'm learning all the time how to play the piano better. It's a whole other world, but it's a great instrument, and yeah, and I play a little harmonica as well. Sing. Um, yeah, I love it.
Well, what you agreed to sing for us, so what would you like to sing?
Mm, I think I'm gonna sing this. It's a song from Broken Film. Um, and let's make sure my capo is correct in this. So this is called Farmland in the Sky, and I think it's a good song for you to hear right now, and maybe other times as well. When just before Terry and I got married, there was a my eyes look so sleepy this morning. Well, anyway, um, normally you're just looking out into the audience and everybody's faces, and you just connect. Like I can see Carol
Well,
and you,
that
and I can Carolyn
that
and
brings
Mike,
up a
but
really
I
good
can't.
question.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I'm sorry, but I meant to ask it earlier because a lot of what I do, I'm in front of audiences too. I teach and train. Are you missing that energy that you get? I mean, it's such a sustaining energy when you're a performer.
Well, I have to say I was, but now I have. What I did was for my 20 concerts, my 20 pre-scheduled concerts in Germany, my brilliant manager and publicist, we talked about this, and they said, well, you know what? You could do those concerts anyway. It'll be 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the U.S. East Coast. It'll be 8 o'clock in Germany, which is the time the concerts were scheduled for, and you could do every single one. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And it's been awesome. So what we were doing now is we're continuing it with a weekly concert called Terrific Tuesdays, and every Tuesday at 2, which I guess is 11 your time. Um,
Will be cleaned out of my schedule, and I will be on this.
so it's somewhere between, like, 30 and 45 minutes usually. And we talk a little bit about what's going on. We now are selling masks, disappear fear masks, and through you know the side of things. And also what got released was because this was June. We re- in June is Gay Pride Month, so we released the Love Out Loud compilation CD, and we also have it on vinyl. So it's given me a chance to say, hey, this is what else is going on. So
Awesome.
plus a lot of new product which we had bought for the tour that didn't happen in Germany. So all that's still available. So that's been really good, and the concerts, are free. And but we hope, and people have actually, bought stuff, hoodies, and all that, and really help. That's really helping financially. So we're continuing it with the Terrific Tuesdays, and that's great. And we also have a thing called Video Fridays. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can see a new video each week, or a video that maybe you didn't know existed that was in the cobwebs somewhere. so so
Awesome.
here's did that answer you good?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. What? Oh, the audience energy. So yes, I was, but when I not like now very much because we're not talking back and forth, but maybe I think we will open it up for questions. I guess you will, but um, when I'm doing the live Facebook sessions, confessions, I'm getting all this love and likes, and someone says hi, and someone in Abu Dhabi says hello to someone in Honolulu, and someone in Florida says hello to someone in Baltimore or Massachusetts. So I feel like I'm in the room with the whole world, which I am, and I love it. I
Super
really
cool.
do. It's great. So it saves a whole lot of plane fare. Okay. So Farmland in the Sky. My sister Jane, before her wedding, actually after her wedding, came to Terry and I and said, "It goes by so fast. It's the most amazing day. Uh, so stay awake. Like be there for it." And I thought, yes, stay awake. Be in the moment of your life. One little drink of water, maybe big. Okay, this is Farmland in the Sky. On a train from Amsterdam to Leiden, I can see the farmland and the sky. I will be the tulips in your garden till I am the garden going by. My little sister Jane, so young yet so wise, came before me on our wedding day. And the gift she gave was better than McDonald's French fries. All she said, all she said was stay awake. It all goes by so fast. Live your life, 'cause today won't last. Now, Jane's gonna have a baby. I'm the aunt that's a luxury. I'll get to teach guitar and give 'em candy. Probably leave the diaper changes to Nancy. It's the chases I've been changing, like the numbers that consume me. I can't promise to quit racing, hopping lane to train to plane, making suitcase movies, stay awake. It all goes by so fast. Love your life, 'cause today won't last. So I sing this song to Micah, Zach, and Dylan, and you, and you, and you, to stay above the gossip and the ruin. Water your soul, and you'll keep blooming. Stay awake. It all goes by so fast. Love your love, 'cause today won't last.
Awesome. What a great message.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's so much in there. It's always fascinating to me how rich your lyric writing is. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you could they could have a college course on Sonia lyrics, a philosophical course.
Yeah, I was like, what was that?
I think I might have a T-shirt made with "Water Your Soul" on it. What a great image.
Hmm.
That's
It's true, yeah. Right?
yeah. And right now, earlier I said, the universe has given us a pause, maybe to water our souls and reconnect with what's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in that way, it's like, yes,
At
even though
times,
all the other things
absolutely.
may be falling away,
Yeah.
so much uncertainty. But I mean, that is certain. That is definitely certain. And I think we're seeking that out, like people being home with their kids and these Zoom sessions being so important. Um, it's like embarrassingly real, the importance of these things. And again, Terry mentions like frequently like who our real heroes are, who are the real heroes. Like, wow, they're school teachers, they're the
Oh boy.
front responders, they're, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
Well, you had mentioned questions, and everybody is staying fairly quiet on the chat. But if anybody does have a question, uh, please feel free to unmute and come on. I have a million more. I'm
Oh,
known for having questions, so
you are our leader, so that's good. That way it won't be like,
yeah. So unless if somebody else pops on with a question, I will definitely go silent. Um, as we have gone through, and the George Floyd stuff, right, came up, and certainly it is not the first time that our country has experienced that, unfortunately, and yet it's the first time we're all quarantined in front of our media devices as much as we are. So it was exposed at a higher level, I think, than we have seen, at least in my lifetime, and became a moment in time where, in my opinion, we just couldn't ignore it anymore. Um, what what's been your experience of that? Because you have, I would say, worked in the injustice or justice circles for so long. um, are you seeing this in a different way than maybe some of the previous times?
yes and no. I mean, I think there's an opportunity. I think there's enough momentum this time, and I think in this coming together, there is a real coming together. They say that that soldiers who are out in the field, when that was like desegregated, you know, um, whatever the person's background was, brown skin, white skin, darker skin, lighter skin, um, it didn't matter. I mean, a brother was a brother, and I guess you see that a whole lot, like in the military, where everybody, there's just one thing, and the you get the urgency of life, and how we're all really very dependent on each other. I guess particularly in the Marine Corps, because I'm thinking of it that way, and but I'm sure it's true in the other branches too. And so it doesn't matter. I mean, what matters is what we each want is the same thing. We want love. We want respect. We want a chance, and it's important to go forward in a way that empowers people. I mean, you know, I'm, I, I think history is really good, but I think we need to put things like you put some old things away that don't speak to you, like when you were 5 years old, because that was when you were 5 years old, and then when you're 25 years old, you want to see these things, and your life goes on. And I think we could look at that. We think we could look at the history of the United States that way too. Have museums for certain men who or and women. I guess we could have the women could have a demonstration thing too. There's no hardly any statues of women. What were they doing? So and so's mother and so and so's grandmother. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it's not really. I mean, because we could do the same thing, but in a way. But um, yeah, I just think that there's times for new leadership. I think we need to be awake and aware, and move forward. Grab onto something that empowers everybody, empowers people. Or maybe not everybody, but like maybe 90% of the people that walk by that statue, instead of feeling distraught and put down by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Other questions from the audience?
I guess I always had a question. You mentioned songwriting, and as Sonia and Terry know, we've got every album and CD and video that's ever been released,
Yay!
all signed. We travel distances frequently to see Sonia and or Cindy together. We were up in Baltimore in November at the Gordon Center, which will be in our memory as a wonderful event. But sometimes, I play drums, and Carolyn, my wife, plays piano.
Trying to play piano.
And I've always had a good ear for music, so I've been tinkering with the piano also, and I play on Yamaha chord tracker, and I've got all Sonia's songs downloaded. So Get Your Fills been my favorite. I've been able to play on piano most of the songs, but I've thought about singer-songwriters, and do they, and I don't think there's a universality in this, but do they get the lyrics first, then put the music to the lyrics, or do they have the melody in mind and it flows, but then they put the lyrics to it? Which comes first, and the cart before the horse?
In songwriting, it really just depends on the song. Um, I have a song like let's break a mirror, or which is opinion number 33. On that, it was bass line that launched the song. It was that groove, and like a reggae song too, it might be a chord progression. You know, it might be just something that, or an interval, or it could be it could be like the song "Bring Your Own God" was. I knew it was going to be a song just by those "Bring Your Own God." I knew that was going to be a song. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be something. Um, and it sort of writes itself, like The Princess and the Honeybee is. It would have to be something very magical that would follow that. It's just like, doo, doo, doo. It's very Tinkerbell. It's very, I hear it very sparkly and then it gets into the story of it, but it launches itself. I mean, like, it just depends on where you start, what you've got to say, what inspires you at the time, what you feel you need to get out. Yeah.
Sonia, do you ever feel like you're channeling something else? Because you say that like, to a non-artist, I'm like, it just writes itself. Well, you're tapping into something, I think, that's coming through you.
Well, I think in some ways I'm not really here because, like, if I put my hands in front of the faucet, at the restroom places where it's supposed to just go on, it takes so much work for it to see me, you know. So I think there's more translucent that's happening than I'm really aware of. But I do think, yes, things do. I think it's awesome to be. Uh, Lily Tomlin talks about that too. Like the umbrella where she's picking up UFO signals from, I don't know if you read her book, but UFO signals from different planets, like static and all that. And we are. I mean, we're just like these, right? These buzzing molecules. Um, and it's a double-edged sword, of course. Ask me what I want for lunch, and I'll be like, took about 5 years. But ask me what line comes next, I'm right there. So yeah, yeah. And some things I can move. Some things are very clear. But yeah, I think it really does. The best lines you just have to be listening for. It's sort of like maybe a antenna. It is like an antenna, I suppose. Never
Just
really
tune
thought of
in,
it that way,
right?
'cause antennas are so cumbersome. So maybe I'll just be like a little Martian one with antlers. I don't know.
Are you still running?
Yes, yeah, just about once a week though.
Just
And it
once a
is.
week?
Yeah, I walk. Lately, I've been swimming, so I'm working up to my mile. I'm trying. Like my last high is 50 laps. I have to do about 16 more to get to a mile. But so I'm swimming almost every day, and I like to walk, 2 to 4 miles, several times a week. If I'm not swimming, but I also like to break it up to do different things, not get too, sore like on my neck or whatever. Just
Yeah.
keep it balanced. But I do run still.
And that you just made me think. I think you ran, 2 decades ago for
Hey,
mental clarity, but you have to
yes.
keep in performance shape too.
Yeah, that's kind of the only drag. is that I can't. I love ice cream and cheese, the really rich, kinds of dairy products, and I'm really allergic to them. They really congest me. So I do a lot more soy and uh, less, half and half in my coffee or none, and you know, no brie, no awesome four cheese pizzas within 72 hours of my singing. But I'm having a challenge with myself to not do any half and half for the next 2 months, basically, and see if that helps my, because it just gets congested, and the congestion lowers my octave ability.
Sure, sure. So I don't know who this is because the name's not attached, but they said, I love your energy, so peaceful. And yeah, it's one of the reasons why I lean on her and her music to get me through the chaotic stuff.
Awesome. Well,
You
it
do,
was
you
pretty
have that
funny. Like,
energy when you enter a room or an auditorium, everything just the resonance, you create resonance without even opening your mouth.
wow. I bet I married a lawyer. It doesn't matter. I'm doomed in a lovely way. No, but you know what I mean as far as like, I'm right. No, but I create resonance, so it's not going to get me very far. But no, no, I feel energies. I can look out right now and feel the energies of Vipka and Carolyn and Mike and you, and I can't see anybody. I guess if I press this button, I could see who else is watching.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, Sonia.
Hey, Erica.
Erica, I was able to tune in for a bit, and I have a related question about residents in a room. Feed off your
Okay,
lawyer. So you're
resonance.
talking to a bunch of real estate people, and I've always wondered what your thoughts are on acoustics and listening rooms, and like the best way to like create sound in a room, even if you're just in your apartment and trying to make it sound good.
Okay, so definitely from what I understand, because you want to do something well, you want to know every single aspect about it. And that's one of the things that makes um, this guitar amazing is because made it's using all of those things to make the particular sound. You to know, like for instance, if you put the wood in a different way in the guitar, it's going to have more sustain, which may or may not stay on pitch, or it might die out, or sometimes you want it real choppy, just like the pedals on a piano bottom, that sometimes it holds it, sometimes it cuts it off. um, Woods are generally really really nice. Hard surfaces like glass and mirrors, which I guess also are glass, can be throw the sound anywhere and everywhere because they're really hard surfaces. But wood tends to do some nice things. Different woods do different things. The most amazing room I've ever been in is the Symphony Hall. I'm going to say that's the Kansas City for Performing Arts. I'm not sure what it's called. There was a pharmaceutical family company that was very wealthy, and they invested half the money, or a good deal of the money, and then the rest of the money came from the people who lived in Kansas City, Missouri. And that performing arts center, the acoustics and interior design was designed by a man from Israel. What's it called? The Kaufman Center. There's a side for like a speak easy, a side which is where the symphony performs, and on the other side is where the opera and the ballet perform. Most exciting was the is the symphony side, because all the woods, just like very similar to the Sydney Opera House, are designed to do a particular thing. One's designed to absorb, one's designed to kick back the sound, like the sound on the stage and how it moves across the room, the rafters, the height, everything, the steps, the material of the seats and the cushions. It's amazing, and the sound is amazing. So much so, it's called a speakeasy, so that there's no electronic reproduction of the sound. There's if in fact they said that the symphony needed to kind of relearn things, because if you go like this, you can hear that in the 70th row on the second tier. That's how fine and that's how meticulously awesome it is. It's great. Go there.
Go on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah.
We have about 7 minutes left, and there's a question in the chat box that says, from Michelle Watt, who said, what first got you into music?
Well, my mother told me I was born crying. So I suppose I came in like, wah, get me out of here. So which I think was good because that way I didn't have to get like slapped in order to breathe. I was just already taking in oxygen. Um, Music was always around us, and I was always amazed by it. My father designed the PA system in our house. He did electrical work, so there was a speaker in every single room, and you could turn it on or turn it off, or go to a radio thing that was just in the wall. And I so he worked with sound in that way, and I thought that was awesome. And I guess the main thing is that when I was super little, about a year, almost 2 years old, my sister was born a few months before that, and she required a lot of attention, and I didn't like my mom stealing the attention away from me, or rather, my sister stealing the attention away from me. So my mom said the only thing that would entertain me while she had to feed my sister Cindy and, change her diaper or whatever, was to set me up in front of the stereo that she would, put on the hi-fi, put on the record, and it would come out of the speakers, and I would just stand there like, wow. So I'm sure on some deeper level, I equate music with love and attention, and that was how it started.
That's awesome. Thank God she did that.
Thank you, Mom.
All right. Well, because we are limited on time, do you have another song that you would be willing to share with us?
Yeah. Ashley, is there a song that you'd like me to play that you can?
I've shared a couple times on Facebook. I just think it's such an incredible, timely song, "By My Silence."
Okay, I can do that. I was going to do that, or I was going to do "Won't Let Go."
And I wanted to share. You probably can't read this behind me.
I've been trying to.
A friend of mine that I used to coach sent me this last year, and it says, I believe in the sun even when it's not shining. I believe in love even when I cannot feel it. I believe in God even when he is silent. And it was written on a cellar wall door during the Holocaust.
Mm.
And it's just my constant reminder with every day that we wake up and we see a new challenge. Sometimes it can feel isolating, but God's even there when he's silent.
Yeah, for sure. This song is the title track from my By My Silence CD. It's written by Nick Annis and Ellen Buxtell and arranged by moi. I'm not a communist, so when they came for the communists, I held my tongue. I gotta say this because I forgot to say this. It's also primarily the whole impetus of it is based on the poem by Pastor Martin E. Moeller, who was a pastor and then a Nazi supporter and then a prisoner of the Nazis. Actually, the personal prisoner of Adolf Hitler. Dachau. I'm not a communist, so when they came for the communists, I held my tongue. Branded with stars, herded like cattle into boxcars, and then, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm really screwing this up. How much time do we have?
No, I will be here all day if you were here all day. So
I'm so sorry. I didn't even have a mimosa. I can't remember the first line now. Can you think of it? I'm sorry. I'm opening this up.
what? I love it. You're human.
I'm human and I can't believe it. I'm not I'm sure Wipka's going crazy if she's watching it. Okay. I'm so sorry.
I would sing
Yeah.
it, but it would it would
It is on the
absolutely
website.
destroy this Zoom. So I'll let you just find your liner notes.
There they go. All right. I'm not a communist, so when they came for the communists, I held my tongue. Like a good neighbor, I minded my own business and trusted justice was done. I didn't ask what was their crime, it was their sadness, it was not mine. I didn't care where they were sent. By my silence, I gave my consent. By my silence, I gave my consent. I am not Jewish, so when they came for the Jews, I had nothing to say. Branded with stars, herded like cattle into boxcars, and then taken away. I didn't ask what was their crime, it was their sadness, it was not mine. I didn't care where they were sent. By my silence, I gave my consent. By my silence, I gave my consent. I didn't ask when they came for the unionists, came for the socialists, took the powerless. I'm not a terrorist, I'm not an immigrant, I'm native born, faithfully ignorant. I didn't ask what was their crime, till their sorrow turned into mine, till their sorrow turned into mine. I was okay, 'cause I am a citizen and I am free. I didn't ask, now there's nobody left to speak out for me. At the time, I believed it never happened to me. I didn't know where they were spent. What did it mean? By my silence, I gave my consent. By my silence, I gave my consent. By my silence, I gave my consent. By my silence, I give my consent.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ashlyn, Ashley, it's been awesome. I keep calling you Ashlyn. I have a very close friend here. His name is Ashlyn. Ashley, thank you so much for inviting me.
I'll respond to whatever you call me. So
It's so great that you're doing this. It's so empowering, and maybe we can do more stuff together. That would be very
would
cool.
love that. Would love that. There
Awesome.
again, this is a time I think when the universe is opening up, saying, please step forward. Help us,
Yeah.
help
It
us
was good
evolve to
see
that
you.
next place.
You look terrific. It's great. It's really
You know, a lot of gray hair.
you look awesome. Yeah.
You do too. You don't change.
Well,
you don't age.
Thank you. I do. But thank you.
Well,
Okay.
love you. Give my love to Terry.
Love you.
It's so glad.
And she
that-
sends you her love back. And keep doing it. I'll keep pumping it out for my people too to check it out and then tune in more.
Likewise.
All right.
All right, you all. Thank you for launching us into a great week, Sonia.
My
you.
pleasure.
Thank
Much
you.
love.
Just
Thanks, Sonia. Say hi to Terry.
I will.
Send
I
all
will.
love.
Bye.
Bye, guys.